Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I ended up doing 24 years straight in the California prison system. During that time, I accumulated some good stories, some good insight on how the prison works, and I'm going to share a little bit with you guys today. In the event you happen to like this story, then definitely be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and also hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Now, with that being said, let's hop right up into this story. Now, today, this story right here is a little bit just more, I'm speaking about dudes who were falsely accused and sentenced to prison time. And, you know, when I was in prison, I used to find it ironic how even though a lot of the dudes that was locked up claimed they was innocent, they claimed that the police lied on them, all types of stuff, you know. The second that an individual would come to even to the county jail charged with a certain crime that people didn't like, rape, the killing of a young child, they would never extend the benefit of the doubt to this dude, even though they claimed that the police had lied and stuff on them, and or they wasn't the one that the police was looking for. So if a dude showed up with a rape charge, the second that it was known, he was immediately beat, pummeled, kicked, you know. It was horrible, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, it just always dawned, you know, something that dawned on me was like, okay, well, what if this dude is innocent? Why doesn't anyone give him the benefit of a doubt when you have so many people in there who claim to hate the police and claim that the police lie all the time? I remember one time when I was in Riverside County, like around 1994, 1995, fighting my charges. When we're in the county jail, they provide a newspaper to each tank and pod and stuff. So we can, you know, read the news, read the sports, all that stuff, and stay relevant with what's going on. Well, at this particular time, there was I forget the city, but there was a rapist running around in Riverside County somewhere, and he was doing a lot of rapes, and this was going on for about 3 or 4 months. Now, at some time, a suspect was apprehended, and he was identified by 3 or 4 women who had been raped. This dude was a serial rapist, and I'm talking about the dude they was looking for. And a particular individual was identified and arrested, you know. So now when he came in the county jail, just due to the nature of his charges, he was immediately separated from the rest of the dudes that was locked up. You know, a certain wristband put on his wrist to know that he was a keep away from the rest of the inmates. Now, every time this dude would come to trial, go to court, I seen him going to court a couple times, he would be escorted and housed separately. Of course, you know, dudes would be hollering at him and screaming and yelling at him, calling him type of names and all type of stuff, telling the police to put him in this tank, and all this type of stuff, right? So this goes on for a couple of months. Then also, though, the rapes that was happening in that particular town or whatever, they're still going on. So a couple of months later, after this guy is arrested, another suspect is apprehended. Now, this guy is caught with the belongings of several of the people who have been raped. They have those belongings of theirs in his house. So obviously, he was the real culprit, and this other individual who was a black young dude, I think, he was let go. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying, can you imagine, you know, the humiliation, the fear this individual went through being wrongly accused? Now, keep in mind that, you know, at some point in time, this dude has to be fed while he was in the county jail. And even though he was housed by himself, you have other, you know, inmate trustees taking this guy's food. They know what is, you know, they know what tray is going to him. So who knows if they spitting his food, you know, did all types of stuff. And then also you have the guards in there, you know, you have the sheriff deputies who work in the county jail. They're human like everybody else. You know, they don't like certain people charged with certain crimes. So my point of the matter is saying that California has a law where they'll compensate the wrongly convicted. They pay $100 a day, roughly. I think that's like $51,000 a year. So, but is that any type of compensation for a person wrongly convicted? It also takes me back to, I remember when I was in Ironwood. I happened to see on the news one day that a dude who had served 12 years, I believe his name was Herman Atkins. He had served 12 years. I had never met him. He was on another yard and he was being released, and he was showing his release and stuff. Now, this dude had been convicted of a rape, and I believe he was sentenced somewhere to like 45 years or whatever. He ended up serving 12 years, and then he was finally exonerated through the DNA process. So, luckily that dude even made it that long, and to be honest, in that situation, he was probably lucky that he was black, because see, blacks, we're so splintered, and there's so many different factions. Like I said, you got the Crips, then you got 5 or 6 different cars in the Crips. You have the Up North brothers, you have, the IE car and this and that. So, each individual car will check a person's paperwork, or some may not. It just all depends on who's running that car and how that thing is going. Now, had this dude had been Hispanic or white, he probably would have had an extremely rougher time, And so I say that to say that had they found out this guy was charged with rape, he possibly could have been killed, And just so, like I say, who's willing to do 12 years, for $51,000, with dudes in there, who knows how many fights this dude got into, how many times he was humiliated, disrespected by the guards, just people alienating him, treating him, dogging him out. And then you got to figure, being charged with rape, you possibly could have some of your family turn on you, because a lot of us are conditioned to believe that whatever the police say is right, which goes back to my thing with a lot of the inmates. The second a person gets arrested of a rape charge, he's not even given the benefit of a doubt to go to trial. His ass is immediately beat up, stomped out, he's fucked up, ran out of the tank, and beat severely. So that's what I'm saying, that you have these inmates who will constantly tell you that the police is liars, the police embellish, make shit up. They won't even give another individual the benefit of thinking, okay, well, maybe they lied on this dude, or maybe he's not even the one. So like I say, man, this dude, Herman Atkins, he was released after doing 12 years, So if you do the math on that, I don't know how much money that is, man, but that's definitely not adequate compensation for a person charged with such a heinous crime, thrown among California's worst inmates, prisoners, and convicts. And just, think about it. In 12 years, man, you can have family members pass away. You can have, you lose relationships, women in your life run off and leave. You have young children that you miss watching them grow up. It just so much goes on in that period of time that, how could they possibly assume that $50,000 a year is adequate compensation? Now, I believe Texas, they give you $80,000 a year, but that's not even adequate compensation. You have like 13 states who don't even have any laws from the wrongly convicted, Now, me, I was out there caught up, man. And so I wasn't wrongly convicted. So I was able to take my time, because I understand that's what comes with being in the street. But in the event I had been wrongly convicted and charged with something like that, I definitely would have been extremely upset. And one thing that always puzzles me is when you see a lot of dudes, inmates who have been freed and they was exonerated on charges that they didn't commit. A lot of them will get in front of the camera and say they're not angry at nobody. You have some of them who have served 25 years, 30 years and stuff. And then, they'll come in front of the camera and just say they're glad to be out. But shit, man, I'm going to keep it real. If I was locked up that long for some shit I didn't do, I'd be mad as hell, man. I'd be mad as hell, And so you can go and sue the city. You can sue the city, but the state of California is only going to give you that $51,000 a month. Now it also, I did some research, man, and I seen where there was another dude by the name of I think it was Peter Rose, and he was charged with the raping of a 13-year-old girl, and he ended up being freed, and I believe they gave him $328,000 for 9 years of his life snatched away from him for a crime that he didn't commit. And then so he also tried to sue for, I think it was like maybe the 38 days, somewhere around there, that he sat in the county jail while he was trying to raise $100,000 bail that they had gave him. He was unable he was unable to get that due to the laws where they're only giving out $100 a day. But like I say, man, it's just a trip that convicts will not give other convicts or inmates the benefit of a doubt. They'll be willing to murder these dudes, because it's certain crimes that, of course, you cannot go to prison for, because they're frowned upon. Like I say, rape, the killing or harming of a child. A lot of times those cases, those charges will get you severely fucked up, if not killed. I'm reminded of a time when, I tell you guys often about one of my partners, man, who had started calling me Arthur Trash on the tennis court. He happened to be in the cell with a dude, and the dude ended up leaving. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, one of the guards came in there to search his cell, and he had a picture up of his old cellie on the wall somewhere. They got real cool. So the guard said something along the lines, why you got that picture up of that piece of shit? My cellie said, oh, that was my ex-cellie, man. What you talking about? He said, man, that dude is in here for killing the baby, killing his baby. And so my point in sharing that is, like I say, a lot of individuals out there who've never been to prison, who haven't had negative interactions with law enforcement, they believe that everybody in a law enforcement uniform is polite, he's professional, and that's not always the case. Many people fail to realize, just like everyone else, these law enforcement officials, they're human. They have likes, they have dislikes, and they're prejudiced against certain type of individuals who have committed certain type of crimes. I remember a partner by the name Deuce Hound. He was about a San Diego man, and he worked in the medical department back there. He was like a porter or some type of shit down there in the in medical, where at the hospital, basically, when guys would come in there and to see the doctor, he would go out and get their pass and let the CO, mark the pass to say that they was present and they had showed up. Well, he told me that he worked with a CO, and he would ask her, what's this guy in here for? And she looked his charges up and tell him his charges, and that's definitely unprofessional and definitely against the rules. Now, there was a time or two he told me he'd ask her, some dudes would come back there, they'd just be looking weird, He'd ask her, hey, what's he in there for? She said, you don't want to know. You don't want to know, So for a person who's wrongly convicted of something, like I say, you have the guards in there passing judgment, the guards setting you up, the guards talking negative, bad about you. So imagine, like I say, you're wrongly convicted. All this stuff is going on, and you don't know when, if ever, you're going to get out. And I just think that that's something that's extremely deep that a lot of people don't give a lot of thought to. Like I say, convicts themselves, if the police say a person's guilty in their mind, he's guilty. I'm gonna share a story with y'all, which I think I had told before in one of my other stories, where I was talking about I had got caught up in a riot, and of course, yes, I was guilty for participating in the riot, But my job as a convict is not to go in there and tell the administration, yes, I was guilty. It's their job to find me guilty. So now we got caught up in a riot. It was about 40 or 50 of us, 40 or 50 of us, and we all went to the hole. Now, when you caught up in a riot and something like that, they'll give you what's called the schematics. And basically, it's just a report of everything concerning that riot, all the people who went to the hole, their names, where they was located at, all the injuries that was documented. If a person gets mace in the riot and you have to go get the mace washed off you, all that stuff, who got decontaminated, who had to get mace down, all that type of stuff. So they claimed that me and my homie Kiki was fighting 2 other individuals, and you had about 6 officers who said they had maced me. All of them was claiming that they had maced me. One officer said he maced me for 5 seconds, a 5-second burst of OC spray. I continued to fight, so he maced me another 3 seconds. And these other, it was 6 officers in total, and they all wrote up reports similar, saying not only were they macing me, they was macing the other dudes who we were fighting against each other. So now when I get the write-up and the report, and I'm sitting in the hole trying to fight these charges, I immediately noticed a lie because I had never been maced. You had a couple of officers saying they got me in front of 5 building. Some other officers saying they had got me way in front of the 3 building, which is maybe about 150 yards away. So clearly these officers, these professional officers, they was lying. Now why? I don't know if they felt the need to try to lie and claim they saw me doing something that they didn't, because like I say, it was about 40 or 50 people. So, some people is going to the hole, and obviously some people were identified fighting and doing, fighting and stuff. So when I go to the hearing with the lieutenant, like I say, I have the schematics. So before I go to my hearing, I have the papers maybe about 2 or 3 weeks. So now I'm noticing all the other individuals who they claimed that I was fighting, none of those guys had to go get decontaminated and get the mace washed off you. Because you believe me that if 5 or 6 officers is macing me for 8 seconds at a time, then another 3 seconds, you supposed to be burning like a motherfucker. That shit is supposed to be eating your ass up. And like I say, you definitely would have had to go get the shit washed off you. And none of the people who they claimed I was engaged with fighting had to get decontaminated. So I go to see the lieutenant. The lieutenant gives me ample amount of time to explain, and listen to my defense. And so, so once I point out, I'm telling him the discrepancies of how they say I'm here, they say I'm there. He says, oh, that really doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But once I get to the discrepancies of me being maced along with everybody else, and none of us have to get the stuff washed off, then he really started paying attention. I told him now, Lieutenant, that, in the event I would have got maced like your officers claim, there's no way I could have came, without having to get this shit washed off. And I pointed out that none of the other individuals were maced, had to be decontaminated. So long story short, he ends up finding me not guilty. But when he found me not guilty, he said, I'm going to find you not guilty, but I know you were in it. I know you were in it. I told him that I was sitting up against the wall when the riot took place, and I just stayed on the wall. So what evidence did he have outside of these lies to make him think that I participated in the riot? And so that's something that kind of angered me, because I just feel that, all the officers, regardless, they're gonna think negative against us. They're gonna always assume we're in something, even when they have no evidence to prove it. And you had many of them that's gonna lie. So he asked me, he said, well, what do you think happened with this right here? I said, oh, I know what happened. Your officers lied. I said, it's clear, And so the other, just so happened, I happened to be the first person out of those 4 to get called in for the disciplinary hearing. So when he called the other 3 in, he immediately found him not guilty. But like I say, he still claimed that he knew I participated in the riot. And I think a lot of people who don't go to prison, who just don't understand that, the COs, the cops, they do this on a regular basis. The whole time I was locked up, I believe I got like 17 115s. A 115 is the disciplinary action. And at least 14 of those, I would say at least 14, the COs who wrote me up either flat out lied on me, or they embellished the events of what happened in order to make sure that I was found guilty. And so for a lot of people who, because a lot of times I'll see in my comments, and it's crazy, you have a lot of people asking, well, why don't the convicts like the guards, or why don't inmates like the guards? But like I say, they never have to have this these interactions where the guards are willing to, to go over and beyond the scope of their job to try to get a person in trouble, So that's just something right there that I definitely wanted to talk about, people who have been in prison who are falsely accused and stuff like that. And, the just the things that law enforcement officials will do, to have us locked up. And of course, it's all job security, it's job security for them, overtime and all that old type of stuff. So anyway, man, definitely if y'all get a chance, research some of the things that I was talking about, and you'll see, the laws, the compensation fees and stuff like that. Like I said, for a person to go to jail, man, 15, 20 years, I honestly believe he should at least be given no less then probably $150,000, $200,000 a year. And if this guy is in jail, 15, 20 years, probably at least $1 million, because you don't understand or even could put your mind around the humiliation, the stress the person goes through, being alienated, being threatened, being beat up, all types of stuff happens to, every person's experience is different. And for a person to be in prison for something he didn't commit, extremely horrible, man. So anyway, you already know what it is, man. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.